Hi, Greg. How are you today?
Kicking it.
Yeah. Where are you from?
I was born in San Mateo, California. Becoming Humboldt County since I was 5 years old.
Oh, so you're just back and forth, back and forth.
The Pacific Northwest. I mean, it's my favorite. The redwoods. It's ingrained in my soul.
Oh, nice, nice. What parts of this place that draws you here that you like?
The energy. It's one might say it's arcane, which means magic. Arcada means arcana, technically, which means magic. Like this is a vortex. Up there at Wildberries is a vortex. We don't have ways to measure that stuff, but that's the pull, and it's a lot more than that, actually.
Yeah, it's beautiful here. Are you really a human didgeridoo?
Sometimes I sit there and I do Omni and I do Om Nami Shivayas, or I sing in Hebrew and I'll say Yahweh, Adonai, Elohim. So you caught me doing a lot of human didgeridoo. I make alien sounds too with my voice. Anything I can do. Basically, I call it like harmonic frequency modulation, to where I'm just basically tweaking the energies with my voice, like sound healing. And sometimes I don't even understand what I'm doing, but as long as it sounds good and eloquent, and you know, I mean, so far people like it. So
Can you give us a sample?
like I said, it's not pretentious. Omni, and then I do Yahweh, Adonai, Elohim, and I have more than that. Cherubim, Seraphim, Malakim, Yeshua, Shema, Orapim. Those are actually Hebrew invocations. And I do a lot more than that. I mean, what I could sit here and like give you a whole like.
Give us like a 20-second.
I feel wrong almost.
Oh, okay, no problem.
I don't know, because usually I'll sit there and do song requests, but most people are not ready for those levels of intensity, and the human race wants like lower vibrational energies. And when I start opening up to those higher energies, it makes people weird out. Unfortunately, like if you really sing well, people actually get uncomfortable.
Almost a meditation, is it?
Yeah, I do a lot of guided meditations actually too. Like I'll just walk around and say, be here in the now, be in the present moment, eternal flowing light, you are pure light, and all sorts of positive affirmations and anything I can think of. I also will rebuke people basically if they're being bad. That sounds not putting myself on a pedestal, but I'll say like in the middle of my performances, I'll call it that, little jokes if people are being sassy, just quickly too, to let them know I'm still alive and a human, because a lot of artists kind of are not.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay. How's your current situation?
The current situation on the planet is pretty interesting, and it's illegal to live on planet Earth without paying for it. I think I should be able to sleep under a tree anywhere and not have to deal with any form of harassment. But the human race is so conditioned to being, you know, under the gun of the man, whoever that may be. Let's not point fingers, because that doesn't help. That they think it's okay to have to pay for everything. And I mean, there's a harmony within nature. There's a balance that we've lost when we fell from grace. There's a reciprocity, and we're not really feeding the earth. Like, for instance, throwing things away, we're not feeding back to the earth. We're not composting everything. California's starting to get kind of on top of it, if it's not just a political correctness maneuver.
Okay, so currently, is it hard finding a place to sleep around here without being bothered?
The energy, I have to feel the energy. Just like when I've traveled, or a lot of travelers know that if there's a place you desire to go to, you go there and feel the energy. It's like magnetic. You feel it. And that sounds like some hippy-dippy nonsense, but it's not. The thing is that most people aren't attuned to their instincts because we're so divorced from nature. I've had the profound ability to spend massive amounts of time in remote desolation, wilderness actually, and I mean, I've seen things that are so far beyond, and that's kind of what made me who I am, including these places, Northern California, Southern Oregon. So I'm kind of feeling like I'm going off here.
No, but it's true. It's the healing nature aspect of nature. It just brings us closer to who we are, and yeah.
It shouldn't be a crime to just live free. The thing is that people aren't living free and righteous. They're living very unrighteous lives, so it kind of is what they're doing is bad vibes, but I'm not. You see, and I'm the exception, and I'm not the only one. I'm not saying like I'm above, but if you live a karma-free lifestyle, and I know I say I'm Christian, but I also kind of go with Buddhist stuff. I also kind of think Jesus was a Buddhist, technically, and that's debatable to a lot of people, but this is why I get into arguments with my Christian friends. I just want to be neutral and to make sure I'm living in grace and living free and happy and not stepping on anyone's toes.
like the energy you put out, you'll receive it back eventually. So you try to be as positive as possible.
Well, yeah, that's when you're putting out good energy, which takes a lot of work. And that's when I go and I'll literally do that for as long as I can. And God tells me that's me charging my mana. And mana is actually referenced in the Bible as something else, but literally mana is just spiritual energy. And then when it's Holy Spirit, basically.
That's good though. You're spreading positive energy to.
You got to.
Yeah, and then it just reciprocates back, and over time.
The reason people don't do that is because they're not aware of their dark side. They don't know themselves, and they don't love themselves. I've had a lot of time to have many spiritual deaths and forgive myself and die and be reborn again spiritually, to the point where I'm fully aware of my dark side and I know it, and I don't let it consume me, but it's there. We have to know. We can't reject it. We have to own it and be like, I know you're there and I know you're part of me, and basically that's where we get our sense of humor, kind of, you know?
Yeah. I agree. Just knowing oneself, that way you know where your weaknesses are and what your strengths are, and just kind of being aware is kind of a big deal. Self-awareness. What other difficulties have you had to face while being out here, sleeping outside?
The main thing that we have to deal with as a species is all the nonchalant chit-chatter, basically paranoid schizophrenia. We as a species are basically collectively schizoid. Like King Crimson wrote a song called 21st Century Schizoid, man. We're so far away from the truth. We're so far away from the knowledge of what is. I mean, books have been burnt in large numbers about our actual history, and they desiccate the truth. That's why we're always arguing about which verse and which scripture. The hardest thing I have to deal with is all the crazy rumors that people come up with just because I'm out here and I'm cool and I'm not messing anyone over, and they're like, that doesn't make sense. Obviously you're this, obviously you're that. I mean, the things that people come up with about me are pretty...
Like what are people saying?
Endless things. Today I got accused... You know what, it's actually disturbing, some of the things. Sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's cute. But ultimately, it's sad how much idleness is the devil's playground. So when people have idle thoughts and they're not doing anything with their life, they start just thinking things about people which may not necessarily be true. Like, I'm just a guy trying to get by, trying to do good things. But that doesn't make sense, because most people, or the consensus out here is people are trying to get one over on each other, and it doesn't make sense if you're just trying to do good.
Okay.
So...
What kind of line of work have you done before?
I've done all sorts of stuff. I've worked in the healing industry, detox. I'm trying to create an ayahuasca temple right now. Not just because I think psychedelics can save people. I do think that they help greatly, personally. Which is a huge matter of debate again. But I managed to help Busor for a while. Basically taking every odd job that you can and realize that I can't function in this type of environment. Most of these jobs are customer service jobs. And I am the worst employee to have. Oh my God. Like, I've had many barista jobs, and every time they start telling me to upsell, I feel like an a-hole.
What kind of psychedelics or outside substances do you recommend?
I'm very much about rewiring the brain. I know a lot of people with traumatic brain injuries, and I try and tell them that you can actually regrow brain tissue, neuro regeneration. Mushrooms, LSD can be good or evil. Peyote, salvia divinorum, which is totally crazy. So is dimethyltryptamine DMT. But like I said, ayahuasca, there is so many. I don't want to sound like knower than thou about psychedelics, but if it's real medicine that opens you up to yourself and higher octaves of consciousness and makes you more aware, then that's a psychedelic.
Okay. What else? What's ayahuasca again?
Ayahuasca is a composite of like 50 or 100 herbs from Peru, and they do ceremonies, and Americans are starting to wake up to it, but that might not last forever because America is pretty corrupt. But it's like a shamanic vision quest, and even the term shaman is very, you can't really say it because it's so steeped in, it's a good thing in my opinion. I like to do shamanic stuff. Like if people do psychedelics, I want to be a shamanic sitter for them, and instead of messing with, like a lot of these people out here, if you're on a psychedelic, they'll start saying gaslighting things to you, and that's totally not cool. And that's why a lot of these people are actually spun out of their minds. But that's the dark side of it.
Do you have like a web page or a social media?
I got a blog. It's Greg Von Hossler WordPress.
Oh, can you spell that out slowly?
Well, it's just from what I remember, it's Greg Von Hossler. I don't even remember. But if you look it up, it's GregvonHassler blog. And then you can
Okay.
find it there.
And then it has your thoughts of what's
Yeah, it's just, this is my experience, and I'd like to share it because I've seen something so far out. I have to just explain it.
Oh, sweet.
somehow.
Do you need any kind of donations or any kind of assistance
Everyone
in any
needs
way?
something to survive.
Yeah.
I mean, but let me tell you something. Speaking on the God subject, if you truly are in harmony with the universe, if you're in harmony with God, I've actually seen miracles which are just completely divine intervention, to the extent which most people would not believe. But I was raised that way. Actually, I was raised with a devoutly Catholic mother, and I'm not agreeing with Catholicism. She still is. That miracles are real. So I was actually raised believing. And the thing is that people don't believe. They have no faith. But when your mind is in the right way, you actually start creating or manifesting miracles. There's all these sciences that God understands, but we have not. We've disenfranchised ourselves from as in our fall.
It looks like the universe, God, or however higher power does seem to provide if you just are open to it, kind of thing.
It's true, but it's ultimately about our desire nature. But the thing is, people are denying their desire natures. But when they go and do things they don't want to do, they're actually corrupting their temple. It's designed so that we do what we want to do within God's grace. I don't want to sound too preachy or proselytizing, because that's what a lot of Christians do, and they're not getting it fully. If you really want something and it's good, then it will come to you. So people need to focus and get to know themselves and get to know what they really want. And if they don't, it's typically not healthy stuff. But there's a
Sure. All right, sir. Before I get going, do you want to leave anything else to the viewers that you've learned about yourself, or just Humboldt in general? Or?
My name is Greg Von Hassler. I was in the documentary Murder Mountain, talking about things not about Murder Mountain, more spiritual. Consider myself a paranormal expert. And yeah, I like to kind of keep it ephemeral or mystical, because if you try and preach too much, people will start thinking you're just an a-hole. So, yeah.
All right,
Love
Greg.
everyone.
Thank you.